The stretch of highway between Crockett and Lufkin, deep in East Texas, runs past what the locals call the Devil's Forest. There's no sign that says that, of course. It's listed on maps as the Davy Crockett National Forest, like everything else around there, but folks who've lived long enough out near the piney woods know to keep driving once the sun starts to dip low behind the tall trees. It's a place with stories older than pavement, stories that don't get told to strangers. Even the toughest ranchers and oilmen won't hunt there, not even when the deer are thick and begging to be bagged. The forest had always looked different than the others. The trees were darker, not just in bark or leaf, but in the way they leaned inward, huddling like old men whispering secrets. Even in broad daylight, the canopy managed to swallow the sun. And the silence, it was never quite full. There was always this low hum, like a tune half remembered, bleeding through the quiet in. The fall of 2019, a man named Colby Travers bought a hunting cabin off a foreclosed lot just inside the forest's edge. It had belonged to some old oil surveyor who disappeared in the late 80s. Colby got a dirt, cheap rusted tin roof, no plumbing, and a back porch that leaned like it was ashamed to be part of the structure. But Colby wasn't the sort to spook easy. Former Marine. Worked rigs down near Odessa for years before moving back east to be closer to his daughter. He had plans to clean the place up, maybe rent it to some weekend hunters. Just a man and his dog Bear, a big black lab with more muscle than sense, camping out while he did repairs. The first few days were uneventful. He hauled in a generator, cleared some brush, patched the roof. But on the fourth night, something changed. It started with the wind. Not just a gust through the trees, but something sharper. Intentional. Bear's ears went stiff, and his whole body locked up, tail down. Then he started growling, not the kind of growl dogs use when they're annoyed, but low and constant, like something deep inside him recognized a predator nearby. Colby stepped onto the porch, shotgun in hand, and scanned the tree line. The moon was bright enough to paint silver edges along the pines, and for a second he thought he saw someone between the trees. Tall, but too thin, like stretched-out shadow. No movement. No sound but Bear's growl and that damned humming beneath. It all like 1,000 wasps buried in the soil. He waited. 15 minutes passed. Nothing came. Bear wouldn't go outside to piss, just paced the floor, whining softly. Colby didn't sleep. The next morning he found tracks around the cabin bare feet, long toes too long. No arch, no signs of dragging. Just perfect prints circling the place, always just outside the ring of his floodlight. He told himself it was a prank. Some meathead maybe, but Bear knew better. That night, the humming grew louder, not buzzing now but like a voice almost breaking. The surface of hearing. Not English, not even words, really just syllables that made his stomach turn and his skin feel tight. On the 6th day, he drove to town to get new batteries and extra shells. At the general store, the old man behind the counter, Hank Dawson, noticed how drawn Colby looked. Asked him if he was staying out near the Devil's Forest. Colby laughed it off at first, but Hank leaned in, voice low. Don't stay past the 7th night. That's when it comes. Colby asked what he meant, but the old man just shook his head. Said if Colby had any damn sense, he'd pack up and leave now. Said the forest didn't forget who wandered in. Colby didn't believe in ghost stories, not back then. He still had that Marine stubbornness in him. But when he drove back to the cabin, something felt off. It was too quiet. Bear didn't bark when they pulled in. In fact, Bear didn't move at all. Just stared through the windshield, hackles raised. That night, the humming turned into whispering, full and clear. Words he didn't understand, but they weren't in his head. They came from the trees, the ground, the air. The generator died around midnight, pitch dark. Not even stars. Then Bear started barking like mad, ramming himself against the cabin door to get out, not in fear but rage. Colby yanked the door open and the dog shot into the woods like he'd found the scent of God himself. Colby ran after him, flashlight flickering, shotgun loose in his hand. He lost the trail fast. The woods were different now. Wrong. The trees. Closer, the paths turned in ways they hadn't before. Every time he turned around, the cabin lights should have been behind him. But there was only blackness. That's when he saw it. Not an animal, not a man, something in between. Tall, lean. Its limbs too long, its joints all backwards. Its face was smooth, no eyes, no mouth, but Colby swore he could hear it whispering his name. Bear came charging from the side, slammed into the thing, teeth tearing. Colby raised the shotgun and fired. The blast lit up the woods for a second just. Long enough for him to see more of them, dozens, standing motionless among the trees, all shaped wrong, all watching. He ran. Didn't remember how he got back, didn't remember slamming the cabin door or locking it. Bear never came back. The next morning, he packed what he could, left everything else, and drove. Didn't stop until he hit Dallas. Colby doesn't go near woods anymore. He tried to get someone to buy the cabin, but it sits empty. The forest has already taken it back, trees pushed up against the walls, roots breaking through the floors. The bank won't touch the land now. Surveyors who go in don't come back. Hank Dawson died last year. His son found a box in his attic full of old maps and newspaper clippings, all about disappearances and strange sightings around that stretch of forest. Going back to the 1920s. There was one photo, black and white, faded, a group of oil surveyors, standing by a fire. One man stood apart from the others, taller, thinner, no face. The devil's forest doesn't want attention. It wants silence. It wants those who hear the whispers to stay. And if you survive the seventh night, you never sleep right again. Colby hasn't. Not in 5 years. He still wakes up with the sound of humming in his ears. And sometimes, just before dawn, he swears he hears Bear barking in the dark.